it's Bari, and we're making the Holiday in London duffel bag. I have my zipper placket, my finished zipper placket here, and I have a finished side panel here. Of course, you're going to notice, I'm going to get my pattern piece out to make sure I'm putting this the right direction, because the side panel is about the same width as it is the height. So I'm just setting my pattern piece on here to make sure I'm going the right way. Okay, so this is the side panel, and you'll notice it's not matching. The zipper placket is a little wider, and that is on purpose. I would design the pattern so that the zipper placket would be a little wider so that you would have some wiggle room when you're done. Being that, and I mentioned this in an earlier video, being that I don't know what your seam allowance will be on your zipper. Some people like it a little fatter. So I did a 1/4 inch. I don't know how wide your zipper is, etc. So what I wanted to do is make sure that you had some wiggle room. Mine needs to be trimmed, and you're going to trim it equally on both sides. Mine needs to be trimmed 5/8 here and 5/8 here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we will sandwich the rings, the ring tabs between the side panel and the zipper placket, and sew those together. Before I cut my zipper placket, I just wanted to show you a little trick. I did the math to figure out that there was 5/8 on each side that I needed to cut off. But the other thing that you can do is take your side panel, fold it in half, set it on the middle of the teeth of the zipper, plop it open, and then measure what the distance is here. Then you'll have the accurate measurement to just visually as well as mathematically. But that's just another trick that you can use to figure out how much you have to cut off of each side. Okay, so I have my tab underneath here, and it's centered underneath the zipper. And what I want to make sure is a couple things. You don't want these teeth to be so close together that when you go and pull your zipper later, when you've got this all sewn on, that it won't close because you've somehow managed to crisscross the teeth. So be very careful that it's centered nicely and you don't have the teeth too close together. So I have 2 inches. I have a 2-inch overlap here. And I'm still making sure I'm centered. The teeth aren't close together. And I'm going to give it a dab of glue. And heat set it. I'm going to wait a good 10 seconds on here so that this stays nice. And then I'll take it to the sewing machine and I'll sew it. And I might go ahead and glue in between the 2 pieces of the tab as well so that that doesn't slip. And if it's not holding well with the glue basting, do pin it. Okay, so I'm sewing all the layers that I just glue basted together on the sewing machine. I wanted to show you, as I got up to the tab, you see how the foot is quite tilted. And now would probably be a good time to put a walking foot on. I definitely have my jeans denim needle in there, a nice heavy top stitch needle. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give my the back of my foot, before I get going over the tab, a little boost, like I did with the zipper, so that it goes over neatly. Obviously, I'm not sewing on this fabric, but I'm just giving it a boost with a folded piece of fabric and getting over this hump here. Another trick, if your machine is giving you trouble, my machine does have a slow position, which does give it a little bit more power to get through the heavy parts. And the other thing is cranking it by hand a few stitches to get it up, and then keep sewing. You can hear it working hard because I have it on that slow position. And now I'm getting over that. Oh, I pressed back on my machine, on my needle cut thread cutter. So I'm gonna have to back stitch a couple stitches here. And on I go. now I'm reinforcing my tab. This is the lining. I've pushed back the outside side panel to keep it out of my way for a moment. And I'm just gonna stitch where I've already top stitched here. And then turn it. I'll sew it across here, and then I'll sew it back up. You can see, as I get here, this back of this foot might need a little bit of a boost again. So, of course, I'll take my folded fabric, pop the foot up, set it under, and sew along. It really helps to get the machine moving where it's supposed to go. I'm sewing back up the tab. My foot needs a little boost, so I'm setting that under there. And off I go. Back stitching at the end. Now I've got a nice reinforced tab. Okay, so one of the things I don't say in the instructions that is a good thing to do if you'd like to is to take your zipper foot. When you're done here, I've got the tab and the side and the zipper panel all sewn together here. You can take your zipper foot and sew across here to give this a little extra stability. Also, the directions call for top stitching along right here, and that would include making sure that the side panel is top stitched on the inside. So make sure that the bottom bits are lined up. You can even pin it there if you'd like, and then top stitch right along this edge just underneath the tab. So that's that for this portion, and then the next week we are going to start working on sewing the zipper placket to the outer panels, which is kind of the exciting part when everything starts to come together. And then finally, we will finish up the following week with getting the lining and the bottom sewn together. So we're getting really close here.